Many of us have more than one passion. If we're fortunate, one of those passions may be our vocation. The other may be relegated to volunteering or hobby. I'd like to tell you about an amazing man who combined two of his passions. His name was Henry Chapman Mercer, and he lived from 1856 to 1930. First he trained as a lawyer, but that wasn't one of his passions. So he went back to school and became an archaeologist. Successful at that, he went to the Yucatan in Mexico and studied Mayan civilization. On a break from one of those digs, he was home at his Bucks County, Pennsylvania farm, and he was bored. So he decided to restore a colonial barn that was on the property. In doing an inventory of what he needed to complete the restoration, he discovered that most of the metal pieces were gone. The hand-forged latches and handles and hinges. He could have easily had them reproduced. This was about 1890, and there were plenty of skilled blacksmiths at that time. But as an archaeologist, he wanted ones that had been wrought by our ancestors. And so it occurred to him to go to his neighbors, who also had colonial homesteads, and ask them if they had any of these pieces. They all said more or less the same thing: "You're welcome to look around in our barn and see what you can find." He found everything that he needed in their barns, but he also found tools that he had no idea what their use was, which drove him crazy. As an archaeologist, he said, "I'm going all the way to Central America and looking to discover their history, and our own history is being eradicated right under our noses." And so he switched to researching American tools that were made prior to the Industrial Revolution. And then he was the first person in the country to amass a collection, a major collection of those tools. So museums started vying for the opportunity to display this collection. And he'd go to the museum and find the space inadequate. It wasn't fireproof enough for him, for all of the work that he put in. So he decided to build his own museum, and to build it of reinforced concrete. Concrete is thousands of years old, but the idea of using it with a skeleton of steel to reinforce the concrete and extend its strength was relatively new. And then his second passion came in, and that was art. He designed not only a safe building for his collections, but wonderfully beautiful buildings. The first building he built was a castle-like building of 7 stories. The roof was concrete. The mullions in the windows were concrete. It was fireproof. The second building he built was a U-shaped replica of a Spanish mission. And that was to house a factory to make art tiles. And then the third building was an intricate mansion that would showcase his art tiles and the antiquities that he had collected. The art tiles in particular, all of the things that he made, exhibited the fusion of these two passions. But the art tiles in particular are easy to interpret that way, because they depicted scenes of Mayan civilization onto North American colonial civilization. So, if you would like to find a way to combine your own two passions, then I urge you to visit the wonderful collections and creations of Henry Mercer, which are in the town of Doylestown in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where he left them as a legacy for all of us. Thank you.